We have an epidemic of diabetes in this country today. The rise in diabetes parallels the increase in obesity. That's because adult onset or type 2 diabetes is predominantly a disease of being overweight. Let me explain. A person of normal weight will produce a certain amount of insulin, let's say X amount of insulin. You gain just 10 pounds of fat on your body, and the fat blocks the uptake of insulin in cells, so the insulin can't get through. So the pancreas then responds to that by producing more insulin. So a person with 10 or 20 pounds extra might be producing 1.5 times as much insulin to get the work done as a person of normal weight. Gain 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds, and maybe you're producing 4 to 5 times as much insulin as a person of normal weight. Gain 80 to 100 pounds of extra body weight, and you might be producing 8 to 10 times as much insulin as a person of normal weight. Now, some people can go on for years some overweight people can go on for years with the pancreas overworked, pumping out all that extra insulin. Year after year goes by with the pancreas overworking, pushing out the extra insulin, and they're not diabetic yet. But after maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, the pancreas poops out, can't keep up with this increased demand. It's an unnaturally high demand. It can't be expected to produce such huge amounts of insulin for the rest of its life.
Diabetes has emerged as a new and very worrisome epidemic. And up until now, much of our medical focus has been a little bit off track. We've been focusing solely on carbohydrate. Carbohydrates, sugars that may be in fruits or starchy vegetables or in grains for that matter, the carbohydrates break up into sugar, and the sugar is building up in the blood, and that becomes diabetes. But we have an exciting new insight into diabetes that has completely revolutionized our approach to this, and that is to recognize that the body ought to be able to handle those sugars. And it can do that if the hormone insulin is working right. Insulin is like a doorman. Insulin is a hormone made in the pancreas, and it waits by the cells of the body to escort sugar from the blood into the cells. And when it's working right, the sugar that comes down the bloodstream can go right into the cells of the body. Insulin opens the door on the cell, puts the sugar inside, and closes the door. The problem is our diets are often so fatty that that doorknob is all covered with grease. And insulin's hand is slipping on this greasy doorknob. It can't open it up. The sugar builds up in the blood, unable to enter the cell. Okay, let's change our diet. Let's get that greasy food out of the diet and bring in vegetables and fruits and healthful foods. Suddenly, that doorknob is all cleaned up. Insulin is waiting, opens the door, sugar goes right in, insulin closes the door, and that's what we call insulin sensitivity. And the new approach says, all right, if we get the greasy foods out of the diet and we bring in vegetables and fruits in as natural a state as possible, we restore the body's natural insulin sensitivity, or as close to it as we can get. And that's going to do two things. It can prevent the likelihood that that adult onset form of the disease, type 2 diabetes, will ever occur. But if you have it, your diabetes can improve, you can reduce your use for medicines if you're like most people, and many people get off their drugs completely.